Welcome everyone to our interview today on professional managers organization. And today I'm with Ganesh. Ganesh, can you introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm a leadership coach and a change practitioner with 22 years of experience. I'm also a Management 3.0 facilitator based out of Montreal.
Thanks for joining us. And as we discussed, we are hoping to have a series of talks in regards to human resource management and leadership and the things that we usually learn in those Management 3.0 workshops, so people can kind of get a flavor of what can they experience in those events. The main thing that my methodology on the Quality PMO discusses is the people aspect of work. As I mentioned, I started as a project manager, then as entered in the business development world, and then later realized that it was the people that need to be helping in success of every organization. So can you, from your perspective, tell us the importance of team building and how we can achieve that?
I think this is a great topic. A lot of people, they take this for granted. They think or assume that people will automatically align and understand the goals and objectives. But that's not the case. People are made up of different emotions. People are made up of different motivators and things of that sort, which get them to think very differently from one another. And when a group of people are working towards a common goal, it's important to articulate what the goal is and how everyone relates to that goal, and how they're going to add value to achieve that goal. These are things which don't get discussed before people get into project managing, different topics or solving problems. But I think this is so key. In my last 22 years, I've seen the biggest problems are not arising from technology, but from people and their interactions. These are very simple things, but and they can be solved using very simple tools and techniques, and that's what we do even in management 3.0 as well. We've got these really fun and engaging practices that we bring in to align teams together, to help them bond with each other and to build trust amongst one another, so they're able to enjoy working with each other and at the same time head towards their objectives and goals.
Yeah, definitely. And this is the funny part, is that when I used to do my consulting work and I would tell people, would you prefer to work in this chaotic way of conflicts and not knowing exactly what you want and how you want it and who you need to push for to get something? Or would you be interested in a very stress-free environment where you have understanding and compassion for your coworkers and you really know what your line management is expecting of you and you're ready to respond because you have the competency in that area and you feel confident in what you do? They always told me like, oh, these are the soft stuff, and we're very rigid. We have performance parameters and we have all these other guidelines that shows us how we can work and what we should expect and how we should do things. And from my 25 years of experience doing this stuff and giving people advice on quality improvement, process development, even business development, I realized that a lot of times it's the mindfulness of people that brings the emotional intelligence, understanding, and compassion, and also taking care of things that they're supposed to do. Like I always tell my kids when they want to drive, I say, check your mirrors, check your steering wheel, check your seat, whatever, and make it a routine, not because you're not a good driver or you don't know how to drive. It's just that ritual that brings mindfulness to you before you start your foot on the pedal and go
Yeah.
fast or whatever. To me, something that we're missing, an element that we're missing in all our project teams, is the compassion that we need for each other to say, hey, we're part of the same team. We're working
Yeah.
together for one goal, and that's a business success. How can
Hmm.
we work more effectively and more efficiently together? These are not
Yeah.
soft stuff. These are the actual stuff that we need to kind of look at. And to me, the HR management actually is the key element, or I'd say the key catalyst to make this
Hmm.
success happen. Because as project managers and people that are working in the project, and when we talk about project management, it doesn't need to be any actual project. It's out of the operation phase, meaning that if it's operation, I know I need to read this stuff and mark it off and send it out. I know my process and procedure. I just repeat the same thing. Project means that we need to sit down together, understand our responsibilities, roles and responsibilities, who's doing what competencies do we have as a team, and then perform our task once it becomes operational. So
Yeah.
project to us is something that is ambiguous, that has complexity. We need to do a lot of teamwork and activity to understand our processes. And as soon as it gets into the operation of building something or acting and like process, it becomes operation. So to me, any change management is project. Anything, your life is the project. To me, it's like
Yeah.
you're growing, you're learning, you're actively trying to be better and improving. So HR management is the key and key catalyst, but I don't see that in our industry very much. From your
Yeah.
experience, can you tell us some of the stuff? Because I know I've been to your workshop and I loved all those nice stories that you were telling us about how you effectively help teams. So I'd like to hear some of that, and then hopefully in future workshops we can kind of point it out and say, this is what we were talking about.
Sure. Sure.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, well, I say that all of us have embraced digital to become digital first organizations, and in that endeavor, we've lost the human touch. This is something that I talk about a lot, you know, and it's funny how we left behind the human side of business while we were becoming a digital first industry or organization, only to realize that being digital first is not the only thing that makes you successful. You've got to be human centric. That's the key to building lasting organizations. I will use this analogy from mountain climbing. You know how much ever tough the situation when you are climbing or summiting a peak. What helps you get there? What helps you celebrate the success of summiting a mountain is when you have people by your side. And how much ever you might have learned, you never know when you come across an obstacle. And when you have people to help you, support you, and pull you up, or lift you up, that's what makes this journey more exciting. And I look at technology as an enabler, just like how you have grapple, those carbiners or different types of ropes that you might use. All of those, they help you and enable you to do a better job, but you cannot be digital first. You've got to be human first. That's my point of view. And I think organizations are just like a community which is made up of human beings, and that's why we've got to be human centric and and
Mhm.
and go from there.
They're your biggest assets. That's what I always say.
Exactly.
Human,
Yeah.
human power and human and people domain. Out of
Hmm.
the four that I always talk about, the business operation, process improvement, quality and innovation, and people domain. So these four are the four elements of the quality PMO. And the PMO, which is the project management office, is an office per se, like not actual office, like a committee of professional managers working together to achieve quality in all these four domains. And the reason I created the Quality PMO initially was for digital transformation, meaning that I saw that a lot of organizations were, and this started like in 2002 when I created my first BI dashboard. I had a BI dashboard for facility management in Wayne State University, and I realized I can give them the tool with
Mm.
technology, but if they don't use it, they don't want to use it, they don't want to learn it, they don't want to apply it, the tool is useless. And how you
Yeah,
apply your knowledge with those tools is a human factor. And as you mentioned, people have different personalities. They have different way of understanding their surroundings,
yeah.
taking information and processing the information
Hmm.
and then applying it to their work and what they do.
Yeah,
So we actually had a lot of interesting things happen while I joined Slack, because Slack is one of the first organizations that I worked with at Stanford that is all educated, most competent people that you can see. Everybody's skillful. Everybody goes through a rigorous HR process of assessments and understanding
mm,
their competencies and their education level and where they stand on topics and how they can collaborate as a team. And we don't have a deficiency in that department. It was the culture of our organization that we need to look at. And the culture, I mean, is how do we use this diversity to our advantage to include all these different ideas, different perspectives? And then if there's going to be conflicts, how can we resolve those conflicts? How can we are we going to vote? Are we going to agree that our project, for example, leader or whatever is the line manager and whatever they say is going to be applied? So in your class and the workshop, the stuff that I really learned and I really enjoyed was we talk about all these things in PMBOK and PMP and all those other classes and certification that I've done. But to have a person that goes through this with you and kind of show you how this works with strangers, that was the part that I really loved, is that if I'm working with my team and I know their personalities and I have some kind of tensions and connections from before, that
mm,
I'm like I already built this kind of persona out of their personality in my mind. It would be much more different than going to strangers and you're trying to show that you're very professional, you know all this stuff, and you're still getting into the same tensions and the same problems because
yeah,
you figured it's your problem, it's not their problem. You're not able to present yourself properly, you're not able to kind of use these tools properly to identify these gaps and try to help the other person understand what can be done to resolve the issue and problem. So what I'm hoping for is just to let people how these management 3.0 can help them. I know that the workshops are very valuable if they sit in those workshops and kind of learn from people like you firsthand, and that's what I'm hoping that our
yeah.
series would.
You know, I, it's these are again, these are very simple tools and techniques, but I think the difference between, being professional and being, sorry, let me take a step back, but it's, you can be professional, but you don't end up making that bond with other human beings while you're working with them. It's too plastic, for lack of words. It does not feel authentic when you connect with people that you're going to be working with, and that's the authenticity that is missing in a lot of teams. It's the soul for the team which starts functioning as a system. So it's got to be less machine and more uh, emotional, if I may say it that way, which we try and bring about by sharing not what exists on the outside in terms of qualifications, in terms of being professional, or some of the other things, but who are you as a person? That is what builds that bridge and strengthens the bond amongst team members, and that goes a long way in having fun and working collaboratively
I love
towards one objective.
it. I love it because a lot of words have different meanings and people have different
Mhm.
understanding of those meanings. Like with the value list that we did, the exercise for the value list.
Yeah,
The values in Slack to me, all five are great, and I really believe in them, and I kind of
yeah,
promote it in my organization. But in the exercise, it was funny that one of the gentlemen that was in there, he had a problem with the word excellence. And
yeah,
to me, and like everybody understands what excellence is, but apparently he had some negative experience from his previous boss where it was used as some kind of negative connotation to kind of hit him hard, like this is not excellent work. You need to work on your excellence, and this is
right,
not. And because he
right.
couldn't define excellence or quality in his mind as a something positive or something that he can enjoy and have fun in doing so, like my personality type, I love learning. So when somebody tells me do something better, I welcome that and say, show me, tell me, give me more information. I'm willing to
Right.
improve. But
Yeah,
other people might take it as condescending and saying, oh, I already know, I'm professional, whatever. So
yeah.
to me, the word professional, it's funny, just to give you a little history about my page, the pmanagers.org used to be called projectmanagers.org. The P
Mm,
stood for project, but I started like 2012, I think, and at the time I was thinking about project management. But then as I like developed into my kind of career, I realized a lot of people consider themselves professional, and just because you are good technical, it doesn't mean you're good management.
yeah.
Management is art and science, and management is not just knowing the processes and technical stuff. It's how to kind of motivate people and get the work that you want from your team and the other people that you're managing. So that's what management is: process management, human resource management, and other resource management.
Mm,
So to me, like after so many years of doing DBA and like my business administration stuff and strategic mindset and going through all these different situations, I realized that professional management means a certain thing, meaning that you have a holistic picture of all the stuff that are important. As you mentioned, people is important, emotion is important, having fun is important. And
mhm.
a lot of people in our industry especially is like, because we're so centric on safety, and to us safety is very important, they think the more rigid you are and the more strict you are with people, the more careful they're going to be, and the more fun they're going to have, the less kind of careful they're going to be. To me, it's totally different. To me, fun doesn't mean horseplay or being careless. Having fun means I feel safe when I go to work with my buddies and friends and
Yeah,
coworkers. I think that they have my back because I have their back, and we're
right.
compassionate and kind to each other. That's why I'm happy to be among you guys. I'm happy to be serving you and seeking your help. But
Mhm.
to other people, fun means, oh, playing around and having fun and not paying attention to work. And that's what professional managers mean. For professional managers, you don't have to be watching them whether they're doing a good job or not and they're doing their task or not, because they're professional. But this, you still have to think of their well-being, the quality of
Yeah.
their life, making sure that they don't have a lot of stress, unneeded stress. That's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Our job as project managers is full of stress, but we need to make it as less stressful as possible. So having the safe environment, they can be more creative, they can be more careful, they can watch for each other. A lot of places I see that people get into this disliking each other, or in like arguments that raise to becoming conflicts. And when they see their buddy or their team member is making a mistake, they don't even stop them because they're like, let them make the mistake and then he's going to be ruined or he's going to be kicked out of the team or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the weakest link in the chain is going to break the chain. I don't care where you are in the chain,
Right.
whether you're in the support, you're the lead, you're the whatever it is. If you
Yeah.
don't help the chain, it's going to break and it's going to break you with it. So to me,
Yeah.
it's the people element. And as you mentioned, the emotional intelligence and all those other things like having fun, working together is the key element for a good quality job.
Yeah. You know, many organizations, the way they design themselves is by creating really rigid frameworks to control
Mhm.
people instead of letting people self-organize or self-manage themselves. Because I think people are intelligent, they can do that. But as a leader or as an organization, what we need to do is create these uh, systems by which people are empowered to do what they want to do or achieve that objective. So as long as we focus our energies on creating these tools, these frameworks within which people manage and organize themselves, I think we'd be okay. Most of these systems were built because we don't trust people. We feel we need to have control over what someone else is doing to be able to then say, "Oh, I think now you've done a good job." No, but the definition of a good job, if you align on, like in tech, we'd call that definition of done. It's so important to know, what do you mean by a good product and an excellent product? Because that can vary from person to person, which can be which can be driven by, where I come from, my state of mind, how much stress I'm under, this is good to go for now, let's just get it out. That could be
Yeah,
good enough.
yeah,
So there's so many things which can go haywire, and it's important to ensure that we align on all those things. Like, when we discuss team charter, for example, we all have a set of values that are personal to us, but when we come together as individuals, you talked about conflict, and my mind went into that space where I was like, this is why it's so important to talk about what are my set of values and yours as an individual, and then align as a team and come up with shared values so we agree on things that we will always do and things that we will never do as a team. That way you've set some sort of discipline as to how we would work, and at the same time you've aligned on how you'd approach things, and
yeah.
yeah.
Definitely. And I love the subject, and I know this topic is very wide, and we have so much to speak about and talk about and learn from each other. As you mentioned, the DASM stuff that I learned, for example, from Discipline Agile in PMI, exactly talks
Hmm.
about definition of done. What do we mean by a checklist? How we kind of monitor, and we teach that
Yeah.
in a to our students. But again, learning it in the books and theories and really experiencing it firsthand is totally
Yeah.
different. I mean, I've been always preaching about these personality differences, how we can work together and fit with each other in a good team. But my experience in my new team, where before I used to say, these guys don't know it, these guys don't have the education, they don't have the competency, I'm just trying to teach them this stuff. When I got into Stanford, everybody's educated, everybody knows this stuff, everybody's gone to the same courses.
Right.
So
Right.
I was like, there's a missing element that I can't see. And it's not the education or knowing this stuff, it's the experience of going through it in the correct way.
Yeah.
You mentioned a lot of nice keywords that I know we're over our time, but things like self-organizing team and being like a servant leader and these kind of topics that you just brought in your discussion, they're in the books. We think we know what they need, but in action, when we want to try it and we want to
Yeah.
do it, we fail miserably and we don't know why. And what happened, I was trying to be the servant leader, and then they took over my kind of authority, and they pushed me aside, and they're not doing what I asked them, and they don't respect me as a line manager. Now what should I do? And these workshops to me are very valuable because you get to work with people that you don't have any personality ideas, and you haven't worked with each other, you don't have any history, and you're still like, I'm doing this exercise and I'm feeling like I need some kind of support from my facilitator to come and say who's doing it wrong, who's making the mistake here. And
Yeah.
I really enjoyed those. We had like eight, was it eight or yeah, I think 4 sessions, right? For
Hmm.
4 sessions that we did
Yeah.
with rentals. It was great, and I had a lot of fun and a lot of kind of it was very enlightening and
Thank
informative
you.
to me, even though, like I said, I've been doing this thing for 25 years, trying to help with the process improvement and business development of companies. Now my focus has been on people domain, and I'm glad that you agreed to do these series with me. We're gonna have Pierre also help us, because Pierre is also a project manager that turned into meditation and wellness and mindfulness.
Hmm.
We're trying to discuss mindful leaders. So I think all these topics can come together very nicely if
Yeah.
people follow the series of discussions and kind of get some kind of understanding. But for our next talk, we're going to have like a book agenda kind of thing, as if you're listening to a book or reading a book, and we'll pick topics that we talk, and then people can follow us with the
Sure.
agenda or
Yeah.
discussion. So, but
Uh,
I'm glad that we did this first meeting. It was very insightful and insightful, and I appreciate your time, and I hope that we see you again soon and have more discussions about these topics.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for doing this with me. Yeah, I appreciate it.